Hello, hello. Welcome to Walk the Dog Cinema. I know it's been a while since I posted. Life's still coming at me kind of crazy here, just with lots going on. As you can see, Roka's still getting her walks, enjoying life, but the job and everything keeping me busy, so I haven't been able to really sit down and watch any movies, but I finally got one in. And it's a movie that I've been wanting to see since it did so well in the theaters, and that's Moana 2. So I'm going to be discussing that while I give the Roka girl here her walk. So just sit back and let's have a nice discussion about Moana 2. So, Moana 2. Kind of crazy to sit down and get to watch a movie finally, and all I can say is there's not much to talk about this movie. I'm gonna say avoid it. I think it commits the cardinal sin for me, and that's kind of sits there. It's boring. Doesn't do much, and I'll take a bad movie that at least tries to say something, has bad acting, but goes somewhere. Has some movement to it, some sense of being, and forward momentum. This movie just sits there. It's got one good song. So again, I'm probably getting into spoilers here. I'm not gonna even really talk about the end all that much, because there's just not much to talk about when it comes to this film. But the big one is it's got one good song that I thought was going to be the villain. Again, like Moana 1, doesn't really have a villain. They set up a villain, I guess, at the end of this one. I came to find out that this was supposed to be a TV series. It got converted to the big screen. Some of it, I guess, is there. But I'm going to talk about a few scenes to make my point. Like I said, the one song's good. The rest of the songs are kind of forgettable. But I do like the potential villain lady, demigod, who's also introduced in this. I like her song. That part actually has some energy, which is kind of interesting. That it's kind of all over the place there, but in a good way. Maui's song is atrociously bad. Woo! Considering his song is probably the best one from the first film, with one of the best art sequences in the first film. I'm admit I'm not a big fan of even the first Moana, though I'll say that one isn't boring. And that was done by the old school A team who did Beauty and the Beast and some other great ones, and an underrated Treasure Planet, so they no longer work for Disney. They kind of retired after that one. This is a first-time director, and the movie sits there. And I'm going to get into a part that I think has a couple continuity issues, and I think I'm going to have a bigger discussion about continuity at the end of this kind of discussion with this film. But there's a prime example of what I mean by this movie just sitting there. There's a part in the middle of the film where they're kind of looking for land, for people, and other civilizations out there, and they come upon this ginormous clam in the sea that it's going to eat them, and then they try to run away from it. And as they get away, I guess they're stuck on a reef, even though it's like really deep ocean, so I can't figure that one out. This is what I mean. And then the movie just pauses. It's stuck. Nothing happens. And it's the coconut people again. And there's a continuity aspect that they're scared of the coconut people, because in the first one, the little coconut people have a little battle. And this one, Moana uses them to get away from the clam, and as they suddenly the coconut people kind of attack them, but then don't, or they do. Well, I take it back. They do paralyze them, but then they want them to help them. It's kind of a kooky scene in one level, but this is what I mean, that the movie just kind of sits there. The clam is in the background. They're running from it. It was going to devour them. And then now the clam is so unimportant that we get this whole exposition part to set up helping out the little coconut people, and to have Moana get a little coconut person on her ship. And you see the clam in the background, and it sets up all this tension with this clam, and the screen just gets static. Nothing happens. The boats don't move. Both boats, rafts, don't move. And there's a lot of talking. One of them are paralyzed. And then it's, well, we got to cross this clam. Why do we have to cross the clam? Why not just go around it? The clam's not doing anything. And then they kind of just get really close to the clam to stab it so they could paralyze it. And they fail miserably in that aspect. And that's how we get Maui and them into the demi-plane. And it's a lot of gobbledygook stuff that's just doesn't matter. And again, it just sits there. And again, bored out of my mind. But that whole scene encapsulates the movie. Even when they get to Maui, in the beginning, he's kind of a jerk at the very, and it's barely a minute, kind of setting it up. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to go there with him again, even after the first one. Yeah, that's dropped. We're 45 minutes later, and Maui's finally in the movie. And it's The Rock. That's all I can say. It's The Rock. He's doing his wrestler shtick, which is kind of what Maui was to begin with. But on the flip note, it's not funny. It's just is what it is. And I'm astounded. I really am, to be honest, that this movie made that much money worldwide. I almost call conspiracy theory on that. I'm not, with Box Office Mojo and some of, maybe the receipts really are. I don't get it. I don't know how anybody could walk out of the theater. Anybody that has seen this that I've talked to, they've all kind of said the same thing. Not too many people that I know have seen it in that regard. So I don't know. I really don't know how this movie made like $800 million. That one perplexes me, because the movie doesn't do anything. And if we're that eager to go to the cinema to devour something original, and really it's just a rehash of the first one, wow, cinema's in a really low state. So it's just, that one perplexes me. So that's Moana 2. If you've never seen it, steer clear. If you've seen it and you like it, share with me why. I'm really curious to hear some actual finer points that I maybe missed. Maybe I'm a little biased from the very first one, which I really didn't like at all. I kind of like this one a little bit better, even though it's boring. On one level, that kind of, you say, well, that contradicts. Yeah, I just think there's more energy in the first one, so it captivated my attention a little bit more, and maybe because of that, I was able to just pick it apart in one sense, with all the other stuff that's wrong with that film. This one, because it bored me, I didn't inherently see anything inherently wrong. It's just, it doesn't go anywhere, so you're just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. It's innocuous, and it's I guess little kids could like it. I think they would be bored out of their mind. There's some cute moments that I guess kids would enjoy, but again, just, it's boring. So that's my Moana to talk about, and as I'm going to get into it, this is where the continuity aspect, thinking about what I was going to talk about more so. And I'm kind of a continuity hog. To believe it or not, it literally for me can break a sequel movie on some level, can make me really disinterested. And this is what I mean on one level. The Coconut People, like, I almost buy into it, but clearly they're evil in the first one, or villains of some kind. And granted, because they don't talk or anything like that, I guess we can get away with the continuity issue in this film. But it just got my brain thinking, got a little deep with it, and I think about continuity in and of itself, and how, like, certain things and elements, I don't know, when you watch films, you know, what breaks it for you? What is a hard thing for you to get past? Is it, you know, the plot? Is it dialogue? Is it, you know, I know for me, I can see above all of those kind of things, but it's really, man, continuity just, I don't know what it is. It really just, it chaps me. I remember going to see Monsters University, and how, you know, I could appreciate the Animal House-esque thing that John Lasseter kind of introduced in that within a Pixar film, just like Toy Story 3's a prison break movie done for kids. Monsters University is a frat house movie, a la Animal House, not Fast Times, that's more high school, but still kind of in that vein. But, you know, really the Animal House-esque, you know, Van Wilder, these crazy, you know, college movie kind of prank things done for kids and families. And the part that I just couldn't get over is that we're introduced, and so I had to tell my brain, well, this is a what if, it can't be canon. We can accept canon one way or the other, however people do it, I get, but on a certain level. But it was clear in Monsters Inc. that Sully and Mike Wazowski were in elementary school together within their universe. So to have them meet in college, for me, is a continuity break. It's that's not a flub. That's literally shoehorning something in that, and so for me, it makes it blasé. It makes it pointless. As good as a movie could be, it's completely pointless because you've just broken the whole basis of what the first movie was completely about from a continuity standpoint. And those things just chap me. That's why I struggle with the prequels for Star Wars at times. I'm sure there's other Star Wars fans with that, with the midi-chlorians. You know, it's why I can't sit there and I don't watch Andor. I don't really, I don't like Rogue One, because they're prequels that just break the hell out of continuity. And you're dealing with, obviously, a middle section of a movie series that works in such a way. That's why I don't watch Ring of Powers as much as people can claim. It's still them trying to attach to our thoughts of what Peter Jackson has done with The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and it doesn't stick. It, you know, you get 3 episodes in and the continuity's all to hell, and my brain just it can't let it go. It just starts going and going, and it's all over the place, and oh, that can't be. And so those are my deal breakers. Continuity, and I mean that from a movie to movie standpoint, not you know, the shirt suddenly wet and then suddenly dry. Some of that stuff I find funny, those continuity things, or some of the stuff is why, you know, I will say walking left to right in the screen, and some of the things that people do as a director to deal with our spatial awareness, that continuity also drives me nuts. You know, it's interesting to talk about film and continuity because there's so many different facets to it, but those drive me nuts more, especially with modern action movies. Again, the Moana 2 does that. Spatially, it plays with the continuity, drives me absolutely bonkers nuts. Like I said, I've gone through film school stuff and classes and in college back in the day, and within writing stories and even, developing stories and things like that. Yeah, I'm not like some famous author or something like that, but, and I'm not like some crazy general to have all of that wrapped up in a bow, but it's just my mind sees all those pieces, and it really it irks me. It pulls me out of the movie because I'm not thinking about the journey anymore, thinking about the air or what's going on. And so I get where people don't like bad movies because they're so bad they're good kind of thing, because those errors drive you nuts, right? But like I said, just thinking about these franchises that just bust continuity. It's where the MCU has struggled in the second half after all the Infinity War stuff. There's some continuity issues there where you can kind of go, no. New Star Wars stuff suffers from it greatly. And so it's a shame that Hollywood has lost its ability to do that. I think they just think that no one cares, much more so than maybe changing ethnicities in the movies, which I know a lot of people from character to character and things like that drive up the wall. But in all actuality, I think the bottom line is the continuity aspects of things. When you start breaking that stuff, a lot of people, they can be lore hounds, like with Tolkien, and I get it on a certain level. When you change things for a visual medium like film, I'll give some leeway, like from a book translation and all that. But then when you make another movie in that world, you have to go with what's established. Just watching older stuff, like, we talk about old horror movies that kind of developed their own world, like the Jasons and the Michael Myers and the Chuckies. Those movies had a lot of sequels that built their own world, and back in the day, they got slammed. I even think of the new Ghostbusters, which on a certain level does really good with the continuity of things. If there's something missing there, I don't know, but like within those aspects, you can kind of sit back and know the movie and buy into it, that it feels part of that world. But man, when you break that, it just doesn't seem like, and I think people care, but it doesn't seem like Hollywood cares, which is a shame, because there's some good movies out there on a certain level that could be much better if they followed suit. It's like they can't tell a story within all those established rules. And when you look at themes, there's other themes there that you can really go off on and really explore that would be much more interesting, even from a continuital standpoint. I had a discussion with my son about this a little bit. We were talking about Star Wars. We're at Disneyland, and doing the Star Wars Day, and we were just kind of talking about Rey as a character and how kind of a Mary Sue and things, and how they destroyed Luke. But we were just thinking, like, you could have still done a lot of what they kind of went with Luke, but in the established lore that he has feelings. And think about it, like, how great would it have been to explore that Luke can see things in the future and they always seem to come true. He can't always see the outcome of things fully, but within that truth, he knows Kylo's going to turn, right? And he can't do anything about that, which he would still have his love about it all. And, you could have tied in Rey a little bit, and you could have used the themes of the OG, made Rey a true Skywalker, which would have been Luke's. You could have then introduced Mara Jade in an off-screen kind of aspect to things. to set up, and how he wasn't a great father because he was so worried about training Jedi and all that stuff. And you could play on the themes of the first three of the, you know, Star Wars and Empire within those scopes, developing all that. And I'm not saying that that's some great, you know, prospect on how things would happen. I'm just saying, to me, that's a better plot point than what they went with. You know, those follow the continuity of the original trilogy and still have character arc that we could have built on and established. And as cringe as you might think, like, oh, Rey's a Skywalker, well, look what they ended up doing, she's a Palpatine, which, you know, what's worse, you know? I'm just saying, from a scope of that, you know, you can do a lot with playing with continuity, and it's like they don't want to try. So it's a real shame, and kind of bummed, you know, with Moana 2, but that's where we are with cinema right now. Gonna watch a few other movies that I haven't seen in a while. Hope they're good. Still gonna try to get some more animation in here, because I really want to watch some more, even though it's May, new month, but really behind here. But I hope you guys are still enjoying these. Please leave comments, subscribe, everything else, and we'll talk to you after the next one. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.